What's up, BetHive? That's our new name for the people that listen to this. We're workshopping it. You are the BetHive today, and we are back with a brand new episode of the Betsies pod. It is December 28th. The Christmas hangover is real. And yet again, a tracked bet fails to cash for Ashley Pren and Devin Walker, who have now arguably become the worst tracked bettors on the internet. All of that changes right now. Pren, how the hell are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. This is my favorite time of year, not just because the world seems to stand still for 6 days straight, but a lot of good sports, a lot of good games, a lot of upsets. We saw that on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So, this is where miracles can happen, and I think we're due for a miracle.
We absolutely are. We need to claw our way back to the top 1 inch at a time right now on the Betsies pod. That was a Any Given Sunday reference for those of you that didn't catch it. And for those of you that were wondering, I do know the entire speech by heart, and maybe pre-Super Bowl show, I will recite it here as Al Pacino. Also, if you haven't seen that movie, do yourself a favor and watch it. I think it's probably top 5 best football movies ever made. I think some people would put it in the 1 slot. It probably comes in at 3 for me. Have you seen the movie, Ashley?
It's been a really long time since I've watched it, but yes, I have seen it. And I'm looking forward to the pre-Super Bowl Al Pacino run through.
Yeah, it's probably Remember the Titans, Radio, Any Given Sunday. Radio, real underrated film. Really teaches you a lot of life lessons too.
It does.
So
Radio's a good one.
So if anyone's looking for a triple feature, you can go down that road. Speaking of triple features, we had quite a few this past week. They kind of felt like it was just coming in waves. How about them Raiders? My boys staying alive, potentially in the hunt for the division if Kansas City loses out and the Raiders win out. So the NFL's in shambles right now, as are our ledgers.
Yeah.
So let's take a peek at them. Let's break this down, and then we're gonna hop right into our hot takes for this week because we've got plenty of them. I will start. It'll be a pretty easy ledger recap here. The Saints and the Colts both stink. I don't know what I was thinking. I have no idea what's going on here. They're absolutely trash. You just go right down the list, and it's like I wish that some of these were close. They weren't. The only thing that saved me is a 15-point fourth quarter by the Saints. I loaded up on that. So for this week, I end up plus 625, but only because of the live alerts, which is becoming a bit of a theme, unfortunately. But that does bring my season ledger to only minus 360. So, I've lost $1 for every degree in a circle, and that's not that bad if you look at it that way. I can crawl out of this hole. I promise you. I've got some pretty conservative takes and picks for all of you this week. I haven't said this often on this account. Tail my bets this week. Tail them. I'm guaranteeing that I generate funds. Pren, let's take a peek at your ledger.
You said it best. The NFL is in shambles right now. And that's making our track bets exceedingly difficult, especially for me. Live alerts have been where it's at, and the Dolphins finally did me dirty. I did, however, cash on the Dallas team over, dropped to 19.5 in the first quarter, scooped that up. They hit 20, thank God. Also took the Lions money line when that went into the positive, and they pulled out the W for the first playoff clinch in 30 years. Everything else, though, got my first red wave in a couple of weeks. So we're at minus 121 for the week, still up 1,400 for the season, 1,420 to be exact. And I did something similar this week where a lot of my takes are more conservative, but we've still got some plus 4 digits in there.
Yeah, we say it every week. It only takes a spark. And, we are not going to be Billy Joel. We are going to start the fire. And that's going to happen this week. And you want to know what? It might happen right now. But before we get into those tracked bets, I'm going to foreshadow something. We're going to switch things up a little bit on the tracked bets this week. We're going to have producer Mike hop on with us when we get there. And we're gonna play a fun little game, kind of Shark Tank style, where both of us bring a parlay to the table and we kind of make our cases as to why Mike should tail our bets or potentially even fund them for us. And he will have to, on the spot, make a decision on who he's rocking with, if it's going to be AP or it's going to be DD. And that's going to be a fun little thing that we do kind of moving forward as well. So
have some fun guest stars lined up for that as well.
Yes. Tag someone in the comments if you want them on the Betsies pod. We'll reach out and we'll make it happen. Also, looking for an intern, unpaid internship, also known as a volunteer, to help us with our social media impact. So for those of you that thought we were going to crash and burn after one season, eat my ass. We're actually expanding the team.
Yep.
And who knows? It could be you. Some of the applicants so far are deserving of their own show entirely. So we'll keep you posted on that as well. But congratulations, 2024. We're expanding now for everybody's favorite segment. And there's some takes in here that may take a little bit of time. So strap in, turn the volume up. It is time for First and Brad. A to the P, the segment that was named after you. And I'm looking at these notes with a big fat smile on my face because there's so many things I want to chat about. The floor is yours. Bring it on.
All right. Well, you guys know that I have to talk about Baker Mayfield again, because last week I came on here and I said that he was going to snatch up comeback player of the year. We go into this past weekend. The Bucs are not favored, playing against Trevor Lawrence, and they, to take one of your terms, beat the brakes off the Jags. I mean, really, really made them look like a terrible team. And so I'm doubling down. Baker, comeback player of the year, part 2. The Cooks are out. The Bakers are in. The odds right now are at plus 625. And right now, if the Bucs are able to clinch the division this week against the Saints, not only do I think that guarantees his comeback player of the year award, it guarantees him a contract next year, probably for more than just a singular year. I personally am in the Tampa Bay area right now. I looked up tickets and I will not be going to the game on Sunday for one reason and one reason only. And that is because I am the Buccaneers' bad luck charm. Every single Bucs game that I've been to, they have lost. They have blown leads. I went to the game where Tom Brady didn't score a single effing point. It was against the Saints, this same scenario a couple years back, and the final score was 3-9. So that is that is how badly I believe in this, that I'm willing to give up my personal joy on a Sunday to go to the Bucs game. And if you haven't been to Raymond James, it's an awesome stadium. They've got the pirate ship. It's a lot of fun. I think Baker's coming in hot for comeback player of the year. I'm doubling down.
Do you think that you even being in the area code has an impact?
I don't. And the reason that I say that is because I was in the city of Tampa for the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And I think me being in the vicinity actually helps.
Okay, just not in the stadium.
Just not in this. I need to stay far, far away. Yeah.
Understood. So in the city, good luck.
Mhm.
In the stadium, bad luck.
Bad.
I'm going to hope you go to brunch on Sunday, have a couple of espresso martinis, and say, you want to know what? We're going to turn this thing around because I'm all over the Saints. I'm all over the Saints again. I did this. Remember when I did this with the Broncos and they just kept breaking my heart and I could not stop betting on these horses. And finally, they fucking turned it around. Well, I'm really hoping that this is the case this week because, and we'll get to this a little bit later, in the event that the Saints and the Falcons win, we've got a 3-way 8-8 tie in the worst division in football, which miraculously becomes the most interesting moving forward.
Yeah. I mean,
it could be awesome.
Who would have thought? There was another thought to that I just said. Oh, this will be a very telling game because it goes back to one of my beginning of the year takes. We're going to see if Baker can defy the Baker cycle. This will be the deciding factor. This will be the deciding game. If his spell is finally broken in the great state of Florida, only time will tell. We've got a couple more days to see. But
this is actually a really good transition into one of my downs as well. So let's just pop right into second down here for Dede because I'm going to talk about the impact that advertisements can have on players. I mean, you've been in the area lately. Are you seeing any local sponsorships from Baker?
Not one.
Well, I can't turn the goddamn TV on any fucking night without seeing Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and fat-faced Andy Reid. They're selling me chicken nuggets, fucking vaccines, car insurance.
Yeah.
Have these guys any fucking respect for the season of football that they are playing in? I think the answer is no. They're spending too much time on set. And I wrote this down as the commercial curse has moved from Baker to Mahomes. And it's clear as day because I got a news flash for everybody that's really excited to see Russell Wilson depart from the Broncos. Statistically, he has had a better season than Patrick Mahomes. He's thrown as many touchdowns. He's thrown for as many yards. He has less interceptions. And he's been fired knowing that it's going to cost them tens of millions of dollars to do so. That's how badly they want to get rid of him. Better season than Patrick Mahomes. And for whatever reason, he's still God's gift to quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make a ton of sense. I got such great joy in watching the Raiders beat the shit out of the Kansas City Chiefs on Christmas. It was just fucking awesome.
How about that first quarter offensive offsides that they called on the Chiefs? That was just a gift.
It was electric.
Chef's kiss. I think that goes really well into another one of my downs. Sean Payton is a pouty little bitch. I think that it's so transparent what's happening in Denver right now.
Seeing it on the screen makes it better. I like that you went Lil too, which is honestly not a bad rap name. Pouty little bitch.
Pouty little bitch. Yeah. I mean, listen, it's really transparent what's happening in Denver. And we always knew that if they weren't going to get along, either Russell Wilson was going to get his way or Sean Payton was going to get his way. And we've seen their relationship between, coach and quarterback deteriorate over the last year. It really is bad. And a new coach comes in, especially someone like Sean Payton. He wants his pick of the litter at a fresh young quarterback, likely that he can mold and shape. But he didn't have a bad option in Russell Wilson. I think that they're using him as a scapegoat, which is crazy that I'm saying that because when we started the season, I was not on the Russell Wilson train. I think that he did what he could. And then even, according to some of the reports coming out in the last couple of days, they've known for 2 months, Russell Wilson has known for 2 months that they're going to cut him. And he's still been playing. I mean, he's playing to get picked up next year, but he's going to get picked up. He's still been playing the best that he can, better than Mahomes, better than some of these other quarterbacks on teams that are walking into the playoffs. And they're using him as a scapegoat. And I think that Sean Payton isn't going to find all that much better. Maybe he can scoop up a rookie in like the third round. I don't know. I really don't like the way that it's shaken down. I feel bad for Russell Wilson, which is an insane thing to say.
Yeah, I certainly don't. Mr. Unlimited can go fuck himself. There's Mr. Unlimited, pack your bags. You're heading out. We don't know where you're going to end up. But I think what this comes down to is Sean Payton wants like a dog. Like you say what you want about Drew Brees. He was a dog, undersized quarterback, like relentless mentality. He would be upset in post-game press conferences. Russell just has this attitude of like, and it honestly, it does seem to have a lot to do with his deep belief in religion, because he keeps just saying, it's God's plan. It's God's plan. Right. It's like, okay, you lost like that. Yeah. Your teammates don't want to hear that this was God's plan and like Jesus has your back.
Right.
Like that's not what anyone wants to hear. What they want to hear from their quarterback and from their leader is that fucking sucked. And we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Yeah. Not, okay, it happened the way that it happened, and we're going to keep our head up because our belief in God is so great. God doesn't win you football games, Russell. I hate to break it to you. So
sorry, bud. He just doesn't.
He just doesn't do it for you. And I think someone like Pete Carroll is more you don't really see Pete Carroll too upset too often. Mm-hmm. So I think that their mentality is just blended much better together until we saw the obvious kind of
Yeah, that's a good point. Like Pete Carroll definitely has this attitude about him where it's like, well, that sucked, but we'll get him next time. And I feel like Russell
and Sean Payton's like, no, that sucks, and there probably isn't going to be a next time. And
yeah,
he's a hothead.
Yeah, and the thing that you bring up a good point about Drew Brees, because even if you look at his final season with the Saints, he was playing with 4 fractured ribs, and was just like, oh yeah, I got X-rays, and I guess I can't play. Like
absolute dog.
Mutter a word about it. So I'm curious to see what happens at the end of next season if the Broncos are still in the same position that they're at. And, when does it become a Sean Payton problem? Because that team has just been mismanaged for the last 4 to 5 years, in my opinion.
Yeah, their backs up against the wall, and it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. But we'll waste no more time on non-playoff teams. That's actually a complete lie, because we're about to talk about the Patriots here momentarily. But before we get to them, I think it's time we talked about the Ravens, and more importantly, the potential revenge game that could occur if the train stays on the tracks here. AP, it's another hot take for you. You're looking forward to Browns Ravens.
I am. I'm looking forward to the potential of those two teams facing each other in the Super Bowl. And, during our pregame warm-up, we were having a round robin discussion here. And when you look at the current playoff landscape right now and the teams that could potentially make it to the Super Bowl, it's wide open. Everyone seems kind of on even ground for once. It doesn't seem like there's this one, at least to me, clear front runner of who's going to make it. And when you look at the quarterbacks among those teams, there are only 3 that have been to the Super Bowl before. Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, first time last year, and Joe Flacco. And say what you want about the Browns, but their defense is scary. And it has been for a while. Maybe Joe Flacco is the answer.
I will say we are forgetting Matthew Stafford.
They haven't clinched a playoff.
You're right. They haven't clinched, but they're. I mean,
you're right.
If we get the Rams in there, he's one that could be.
We could even narrow it further then and say quarterbacks that have won the Super Bowl,
right?
That are, but I guess the Browns haven't clinched out. But still, then you're looking at Stafford, Mahomes, and Flacco. And
Flacco.
This feels like the perfect season where a quarterback could just rise off up the couch mid-season, come in and win the whole thing. And I think that if the Ravens face the Browns in the playoffs, it could be a really devastating story and an end to the season for the Ravens.
Yeah. Quick shout out to one of my good friends, Sam Caruso. I believe he was the one who started this rumor. He's a big Steelers fan. And we, obviously we have big Super Bowl parties every year. And oftentimes we get guests that aren't too interested in the Super Bowl. So we like to make up fake headlines. And Sam hit him with probably the best fake headline we had ever heard, which is that Joe Flacco, not once or twice, but several times, had been arrested for lighting trash fires. Just going around Baltimore, trash arsonist. And everyone's like, wait, what? How did this guy keep getting out of it? And we're like, dude, he's real good at football. So they just let him light dumpsters on fire. And that's one of the better ones we've seen. So he is known to me as a trash can fire starter. And what better city to do it in than Cleveland? They got trash all over the place over there.
All over the place.
I'm looking forward to it as well. I mean, I just cannot imagine a Joe Flacco revenge game. And just like could not be a different style player than that you'd been replaced by. And it's like Flacco and the lowly Browns somehow go back into Baltimore and beat them. It's like, that is just outlandish that it's a possibility. And it's another reason I severely am leaning towards simulation theory here, but we won't get into that.
Script writing. Yeah.
Something's aloof here. We don't know exactly what's going on. I'm just going to get into this really quickly as well. While we're talking about the Ravens, I believe them to be fool's gold. Everyone was very impressed with the victory over the 49ers, and I can see where that would happen. I don't think it's sustainable for a full playoff run. Yeah. I think they are way too contingent on one player, and Lamar Jackson should probably be the league MVP, even though you put his stats up next to Dak and they're not close. You have to talk about impact to your team. Is he doing more with less? The answer is probably yeah. So I can see that. I'm not a believer in Lamar yet. I don't think he can do it for 3 or 4 weeks in a row. And that's why I'm on the Dolphins this week. I'm with the points, but also with the money line. But I'm also just like, I just don't think this team is a Super Bowl caliber team. And I could obviously be wrong, like I have been every week for the last 6 weeks, but I'm just not seeing it. I'm really not seeing it. I'm not seeing the Ravens winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn because I think that Sunday's game or Monday's game, whatever it was, said more about the 49ers and how history repeats itself than it did about the Ravens. Because the thing is, I'm personally not fully bought in on the 49ers. I don't think that they have anything that wouldn't get them to the Super Bowl, but I just think Brock Purdy is too inexperienced as a quarterback to be the guy that gets there. And not only that, history did repeat itself on Monday night. They had, I think it was
he threw 4 picks.
One of their tackles or something, someone on their O-line, they had already gone through the depth chart. They didn't have anyone to cover. And that's why they put Sam Darnold in as starter, not because Brock Purdy threw for 4 interceptions, which easily had something to do with it as well. But they were down on the depth chart. They physically did not have anyone to put in that spot. And I think that, first of all, when that happens twice in a year's span time, you need to look at the roster or how you're protecting your guys or something. I don't know what the solve is there. I'm not a football NFL coach, but something's up. You got to figure that out. But I do think it says more about the 49ers than it does about the Ravens. So I kind of have to agree with you here. I also think the Ravens are incredibly injury prone. They're losing key players every single game. And when does that luck run out? When do some of these other teams that have experienced injuries earlier in the season, like the Eagles, start to build the roster back up when the Ravens keep dwindling it down?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've talked about the AFC over and over and over again and its inconsistency. And I think that's why you do see a Ravens team looking as good as they are, although it was an interconference victory there against the 49ers. The AFC is not strong right now. So as I look at that record, I'm just not super impressed in a really bad division that that you haven't really played many good teams. I don't know. I just don't see them being able to get it done multiple weeks in a row. Another guy who couldn't get it done multiple weeks in a row, we'll keep this take very quick. Cutlets gets demoted to line cook. Hate to see it. He just got a pasta sauce commercial with his mom. He was riding high.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's all over the
curse. It's the commercial curse.
All over the Northeast. Commercial curse strikes again. I
Ah.
believe, I don't know which brand it was. I'll figure that out though. Yeah, he was full blown in a commercial in his kitchen with his mom doing a pasta sauce commercial, and then immediately got benched. So Cutlets demoted to the salad station. Hate to see it. Hate to see it, but we must move forward in the land of backup quarterbacks. You never know what you're going to get. And sometimes you get Tommy Cutlets week 15, and sometimes you get week 16, and that's just a flip of the coin. A little bit more consistency from that position. Let's talk about Bailey Zappi. Let's bring in producer Mike, and let's explain to the people, Mike, why you're not so stoked about the New England Patriots and their record in the last couple weeks, which, of course, I did predict. Zappy on a short week. Mike, welcome to the pod.
I know that you have a relationship with Bailey Zappi, and that's great. He's fun to watch. He's got a lot of pizzazz. But Bailey Zappi, who has played some pretty good ball, has in the past couple weeks just destroyed the Patriots' next 15 years. And we went from having the number 2 pick, now we've slid all the way to 4. And it's not just about Caleb Williams and Drake May. It's about the fact that now we can't even get Marvin Harrison Jr., and who are we looking at now? Like, Belichick's in his dream spot. If he remains the coach, he's going to draft like the best offensive tackle, and
100%. Or offensive tackle from Oregon, 100%.
Or like overspend on like Brock Bowers, who like could be good, but like you shouldn't spend a first round pick on a tight end anymore, in my opinion. I'm in shambles because for a couple weeks there, I was really like, okay, like, the tank is on. And if you go back and watch some of the reactions of Bill during the game against the Broncos, I don't think he wanted to win that game. Like, I think after he was sort of like, okay, great. Like, this is awesome. Like, we're getting
to win. His reaction to it at all. He was just like walked out. Like, that was it.
And like, I think that there are a bunch of issues in New England right now, but I think that there's like this feeling that like because Brady, turned into what he was, like they can do this. And like I think Kraft, who's losing his mind, like he loves Zappy, so he'll be down to roll it back with him. Belichick and him in his mind is like, I did this before with like an irrelevant guy, I can do it again. Bailey Zappi's fun to watch. He's great, but like, there's also a reason why, he got cut after camp. Like, he has a hard time processing NFL defenses. I hope he can get better because we may be rolling with him again in like next year.
Yes, we are. It's Zappy hour all year, baby.
But the fact that the thing that really bums me out is that we no longer, we'll see how the rest of the season shakes out, but I was starting to get more and more intrigued by the prospect of drafting a weapon with Marvin Harrison Jr. and then doing like Zappy, I don't know, bring in like another veteran like Baker if he doesn't get re-signed in Tampa, and just like go forward with that. But
well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that briefly because it's become evident as of the last 24 hours that Russell Wilson will be available.
Oh my God.
So I mean you're throwing around Baker Mayfield, and it's just a hard no for Russ for you, Mike, on going to the Pats.
Listen, you live in New England. I'm from New England. Like, even though it was founded on
He's a
very
Puritan.
religious Puritan values. I don't think Russ is going to be a fit in New England. Not to mention the fact that, like, you can't bring in the guy that your franchise destroyed 10 years ago. We destroyed Russell Wilson. They were going to be this, like, whole.
That's true. They're going to be a powerhouse team. Yeah, winning
Um,
a bunch of rings. And then the Patriots came in and said, not so fast. And I mean, I think to your point, Mike, if Russell Wilson can't find success with Sean Payton, there's no way in hell he's going to find it with Bill Belichick. So.
No. I mean, and the other thing too is that, like, Russ, he just, like, can't really scramble anymore. He kind of can, but not really. And that's the one thing that I do like about Zappy, is that he can move. And, like, I just think in the modern NFL, if you have a quarterback that doesn't have legs, then you're just, like, leaving something on the table.
I don't personally think Marvin Harrison Jr. is absolutely gone at 4.
True.
Yeah.
And I would be, that is who I want just above, because I'm a Zappy guy through and through. But also I just think that, as we've seen kind of over and over and over again this year, the way the NFL is trending is a rookie quarterback isn't really going to give you much of a shot unless you surround them with weapons. So if we draft a quarterback, but is expected to go out and throw to who we have right now, that's not going to go well. Yeah. So I would rather get skill position weapons for somebody and look, if I believe in Zappy, but if it doesn't work out 1 or 2 years down the line, when there's this new crop of amazing quarterbacks, Archie Manning, we get one of these guys that's kind of coming up in the system. They're going to be just as many outstanding players. I don't believe Caleb Williams is a generational talent personally. And there's going to be just as much hype around the next crop of guys and the next crop of guys. For me, Marvin Harrison Jr. is a generational talent. He has NFL bloodlines. He knows how to take care of his body. He knows the intangibles. He's got one of the best wide receivers to ever play the game as a personal mentor and father. And putting him in a system, I just really think that's the best bang for your buck. And he could be there at 4. And so this may have helped us in a sense because we don't have to take Caleb Williams.
Yeah. I also think that there's going to be a lot of movement with the draft. I think we're going to see Justin Fields thrown into the ring. Russell Wilson's obviously going to be there. Who knows where those first 3 picks are going to sit when push comes to shove. And that being said, maybe to your point, Didi, he doesn't go in the first 3 rounds. I mean, if there's a scenario where coaches are traded and quarterbacks are traded for picks and all this shit, like we don't know where teams are going to pick. So
the first headline you look up and when you type in 2024 NFL mock draft is that the Vikings trade for Kyler Murray and the Patriots land Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 4. That's the first headline. They think Justin Fields is going to the Raiders. They think the Vikings are going to try to grab Kyler Murray, and that the Pats will stick in their normal, in their normal spot, and they're going to grab because they want to get Drake May. Arizona wants to get Drake May, so this is kind of how they see that happening. Also, we're forgetting about Jaden Daniels as well. So we're going to have in the 3 or 4. I would much prefer Jaden Daniels to Caleb Williams because of what you said, Mike, which is a legitimate dual threat quarterback. Caleb Williams can sling it. He can run. But to me, in watching a lot of LSU football games, I watched that man single-handedly win them 7 games in a row. And I'll fucking take that guy any day of the week. But, Mike, while we have you here, we're gonna play a little game. Okay? We don't know what we're calling it yet, but it goes a little something like you are the shark in Shark Tank, and we are the pitching entrepreneurs, and you are going to need to pick one of these bets from either me or AP, and tail/fund the bet, right? So your putting your own money on one of these beliefs. They're both coming in right around plus 400. So pick your poison. Who do you want to hear whose pitch do you want to hear first? And at the end, a decision on the spot will be made for the first ever Betsies pitch off. Shark pitch.
Ladies,
we're workshopping it.
Yeah, it's just going to be the new format for the show going forward. Next year, everyone, we're changing things up a little bit. There's going to be a guest in every show. Devin talked about it. We're just doing a dry run. Yeah. Ashley, you can go first.
All right, I'm calling this Clinch It.
Hi, I'm Ashley Pren, and my business is Clinch It.
Clinch It. Clinch It. Okay. I'm looking at a 3-way parlay.
Yeah.
Teams that can all clinch playoff spots. So I've got the Jags minus 6.5.
Yeah.
I've got the Bucks minus 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
And the Rams money line for plus 383. Now, before we go talking about the Saints pulling the upset, not only do I think the Bucks are going to win because they're just a more complete team overall, there are more players on our offense that are playing for their futures and have more to lose. Mike Evans having an insane season than there are for the Saints. Mm-hmm. And I think that if we learned anything from last weekend, 2.5 is not an accurate line. The Jags are way better than the Saints. That being said, the Jags are playing the Panthers. They're going to finally get a really bitch slap win against a team that they need. And the Rams are a scary team. I said this last week, and then they came out the gate this past weekend. I think that these 3 teams are going without a doubt to clinch their playoff spots, and I think that the Bucks and the Jags will cover the spread.
Taking a look here. Who was the bitch slap comment about?
The Jags playing the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
Something about that game, the Jags game, the divisional game, and then also the Bucks game. The Jags game isn't a divisional game, but the Bucks and the Saints worries me.
Divisional shit fight. I'll give you that. I still think the Bucks pull it out though. At home.
There's just a real lack of conservatism with your guys' weekly bets that I think may need to change a bit next year if you want to start winning. I'll keep this in mind. I'm going to keep this in mind. There's a lot about it that I like. I want to hear Devin's first.
Well, yeah, you can't make a decision till you hear both pitches.
Yeah. You got to hear Didi's.
All right. Decision. So, hi, I'm Devin Walker, and I am seeking $250,000 for 10% of my first tracked bet for week 17. I'm calling this the perfect storm parlay. Now, I understand that as an investor, you want something absolutely guaranteed. Well, I am here to tell you that I can provide that for you this week. And here's why. If the Saints and the Falcons both win, the entire division is tied at 8-8. What does the NFL love more than drama? Taylor Swift. And that's it. T-Swift, divisional drama. Okay? They have somehow taken the least fucking entertaining division in the history of the sport and showcased it as the marquee matchup because of the amount of implications that divisional winner will have. That guarantees them 3 outstanding football games, but more importantly, it sets the stage for these same teams, the Falcons and the Saints, to meet next week in a win in your divisional shit fight in New Orleans.
The Falcons play the Saints next week?
The Falcons play the Saints next week, and we could have ourselves a 3-way tie. And then we potentially get a tiebreaker of sorts with Tampa Bay if they win their final game of the season. So, drama standpoint, I love it. My final point is, in this Bucs game, it is very difficult to beat a divisional opponent twice in one season. Bucs got the best of them. They went into New Orleans and beat them down. Revenge game for the Saints. Falcons are playing the Bears. The Bears fucking stink. Give me Saints. Give me Falcons. Coming in at a plus 413, which ironically is the area code for Western Massachusetts. I rest my case.
Okay. I've made my decision. I'm gonna go with Devin.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
There are a couple of reasons why. One, this is the most conservative bet I've seen in this podcast in weeks. Even though these are both dogs, it's just 2 legs. And you guys are addicted to multi-leg insanity.
That's
so
fair.
I'm just looking for 2 things here. I think that Arthur Smith has finally realized he needs to use his good players. Ashley, one of the first things you brought up when we started this podcast was the Baker curve. And I think the Baker curve, all indices are pointing down.
I don't disagree, but there is one key component that is missing that could break the cycle, and that's that he doesn't have a single local endorsement yet.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to pull up the meme of Charlie Day and Always Sunny, just like connecting all the dots. Now I'm going with Devin. I'm giving him all 200 of my dollars, so he gets his
$250,000. $250,000 for 10% of my bet.
I hope for the sake of drama that Devin's bet pulls off, because that would create a really interesting scenario for the NFC South. I hope for my mental sanity, I'm correct. There can only be one winner. We will see.
This is getting boosted to
Wow.
8, 13.
Oh God, he's boosting it.
He's boosting it.
Yeah, it's been boosted. 2 units. 2 units.
Wow.
I can't type.
2 units. That means it's 826, which is not my area code. But yeah, no, that does technically get boosted with a unit from me and a unit from Mike. Excellent. Mikey, we appreciate you. We're going to run through the rest of these tracked bets. As always, give a big round of applause for producer Mike. He's always there for us. He's got our 6. He lives on our 6. You know,
he's always there.
He's always there for us. All right, AP, we got to speed through the rest of these because we have really stretched this episode out. The people want a longer episode after Christmas. You guys got nothing to do. Shut up, everyone. Shut up. I'll rip through a couple of these next ones real quick. I got to do it or don't. Money line parlay. It's actually not a money line parlay. The money line is the Cowboys. It's just the do it or don't parlay. It starts tonight with the Jets Browns. I am fading my own action at this point. I've been pounding unders on Thursday night. They haven't been hitting. Odds are it happens the one night I bet against it. But I looked at the Browns' last few games. They're scoring in the 50s. This just seems too low for me at 43. I think the Jets will score a couple tutties. I think the Browns will score 28 with Flacco at the helm. Give me the over there. Cowboys money line have to have a get right game. That should be absolutely no problem. And then I'm taking the Dolphins plus 3.5 against the Ravens, who we believe to be fool's gold. That comes in at plus 396, and it'll lead us directly to Teaser Town. I'm taking, let's see here, 6 underdogs, adding 6.5 points to each of them for a plus 550 6-way teaser. Pats, Saints, Falcons, Dolphins, Raiders, Packers. Mostly divisional games, mostly games with implications attached to them. I think at this late stage in the season, we're going to see some close games. Red zone will be very interesting. This is arguably my favorite teaser I've had in quite some time. 6 teams, all dogs, lots of points. Pats, Saints, Falcons, Dolphins, Raiders, Packers, plus 550. And that's Teaser Town. AP, what else you got for track bets?
This is the last week that I go crazy without hitting before I dial it back. But true to form,
All right.
we've got some crazy odds. I've got upset city, which I'm taking the Titans money line. I think they're due for a win. Taking the Chargers money line. I think they are also due for a win. They almost had, to DD's favorite stat of the year, the head coach, new interim head coach upset. They almost pulled it off against the Bills.
They did cover, though.
They did cover. I think they'll pull it off this week, but this is for plus 665. And then we've got the likely scorers. We've got Amari Cooper. I mean, no explanation needed there. F it. Why not? Him and Joe Flacco clearly have something going on. Let's see if that can continue. Amari Cooper anytime TD. George Kittle anytime TD. DK Metcalf. What's his face? Mostert.
I don't know how to say his name.
I honestly don't either, which is funny because it looks fairly simple when you sound it out, but it's not for me. So George Kittle had a lot of heat going into that game on Monday night. And then, Brock Purdy kind of fell apart. I think he'll get a grab into the end zone. DK Metcalf is usually a no-brainer. Same with Mostert. He scored a touchdown this past game. I think he'll do it again. I think he's the strongest running back that the Dolphins have. I said what I said. I know what I said. Plus 3,000.
We'll take it. Plus 3,000. Amari Cooper, George Kittle, DK Metcalf, and no one knows his first name, Mozart, or how to say his last name. Sorry, man. We need a course. We need a course on that. Those are our tracked bets for this week, which leads us into the only segment that has made any money in the last several weeks, which is the live alerts. Hit them with the sirens, Mikey. I will start us off with tonight's outing in the Jets and Browns. I'm targeting a first half line at under 20.5. This is a line that I'm looking at and thinking to myself, what's the trend going to be in this game in the first half? Because I could see it being 6-3. And it wouldn't really be that surprised. I have the game over. So I've watched a lot of Jets games. I've watched them dominate defensively in the first quarter and a half. And then slowly but surely, they kind of fall apart. A team that has nothing to play for anymore. How hard are their guys going to be going for a full game? Yeah. I don't know. But to start things off, I think we'll get their best effort. Really good defense. The Browns, obviously, also a very good defense, sack-prone defense. I think we'll see a lot of punts. If I can get this number at under 20.5 for plus money at any point in the first half, I'm all over it.
I'm going to tell that.
I really like this bet.
Yeah.
It kind of... And this isn't just 20.5. It's 20.5 at plus money. But like if I see this go to, say we get an early defensive score and I see it jump up to 24.5, 27.5, whatever it is, I'm going to be hunting the first half under here in this Thursday night game from the bowling alley. Saints, Falcons, I'm looking at both of these games. We've already talked about it. Mike sided with your boy. If I can get either of these teams at plus 200, I'm going to rock with them. And then the Cowboys money line. Or the Cowboys minus 10.5. Now, if they go down early, I'm going to fire on the money line. If they go ahead early and it looks like they're going to steamroll them, I'll also take it at minus 10.5. It's that little window essentially that I'm concerned about. But if they go down and I can get them plus money on the money line, I'm firing. If I can get an alt line of 10.5 or better, and it looks like they're going to show up and play a full football game, I'll probably take this up to like minus 18.5. I can see a full game performance Cowboys blowout on the horizon.
Yeah. I like it.
Those are my live alerts. What do you
I
got,
like
AP?
All right, I'm going to jump right in. I've got 4. The first is going against everything I've been saying this entire episode and hedging, and I'm calling it the Baker bust. Watch out to see if history will repeat itself, both in Tampa Bay and with Baker Mayfield himself. If the Bucs start to unravel early on, grab the Saints plus money while you can, because you just never know. You never know with the Bucs.
Never know.
You never know with Baker Mayfield. They've been in this spot against the Saints to clinch the division before, and even with Tom Brady, they shit the bed. So Baker bust, keep an eye out. I've also got, which I think you touched on earlier.
Wait, so you were pitching me on something that you were hedging against.
It's called a hedge, Mike. It's called a hedge. Hedge. Secure your investment.
My instincts were right. This is fraud. I'll be filing a complaint with the SEC.
Absolutely fraudulent behavior.
I'm just protecting my investment. Anyways, moving on. I think you mentioned this earlier in the pod, Dee. Miami team line right now is at 21.5. Keeping my eye on this because I think that this is going to be a telling game for both teams. We're going to see if the Ravens really have what it takes. We're going to see if the Dolphins really have what it takes because the Dolphins finally got an impressive win over a winning team this past weekend in their win against Dallas. I think 21.5 is pretty low. We'll see if that drops if they don't score in the first quarter. And then depending on where the momentum lies, if they're getting blown out, I'm going to leave this alone. But if they're staying in, the fight and this hits below 21.5, I'm grabbing the over. Bills team under. It's currently at 26.5.
Ooh, Bills, I love that. Love that.
Love that. You made a point earlier this week in the group chat, which I begrudgingly agree with, and that's that the Bills won't go away. I do think they'll end up beating the Pats, but the Pats have a very strong defense, and
they fucking hate the Bills too.
They hate the Bills.
They fucking hate the Bills.
The Bills have not been scoring a lot of points. I don't see that changing against the Pats.
Potential weather in Buffalo this weekend too. I will point that out. And it reminds me of a game. I was actually with Mike for this game for Techmas where they ran the ball. I think it was the Mac Jones where Mac Jones threw 2 passes. He threw the ball 2 times, and they ran the ball every single down. I think the score was something like 16-13 or whatever it ended up being. But potential weather in Buffalo as well, which certainly would help the 26.5.
Yeah. I just don't see them scoring any more than that against the Pats, surprisingly enough. And that leads me to my last live alert, which is the Bills-Pats game under. Right now it's at 40.5. I think that's going to drop even lower, but that seems really high, even with Bailey Zappi at the helm. I'm going to keep my eye on those this week.
Yeah, you never know. If it was a short week, pound the over. It isn't. They've got a full week of rest. We never know what we're going to get when you roll these two teams out there against each other. And that is the beauty of divisional matchups with long histories. And that's exactly what we've got up in Buffalo this weekend. You also never know what you're going to get with a girl dinner bet of the week. So let's hit them with the charcuterie board and lay some long odds on them. Let me get this. They don't ever need no man to tell me what to do. I love that all my segues sound like I'm about to do an advertisement.
Maybe that's foreshadowing.
You know what else you can always count on? Rick's Auto Body. It's like, shut up, Devin.
This is our shameless plug that if you do want to advertise with the Betsies pod, we're in the business. So
yeah, because right now the only one that we have is my OnlyFans, and I'm not paying to do that. I just randomly I just talk about it sometimes. Again, that will be a job for our volunteer intern. Why don't you go ahead? You've been chasing this for so long. I'm rooting so hard for it.
I want it.
I
so
need
badly.
it to happen.
I want it so badly, and I don't know. This week, I was looking at the rosters, and I was like, who can potentially pull this off? I'm doubling down on an earlier track bet, but my girl dinner bet. Anything can happen. It's happened before this season. It hasn't happened in quite some time though. George Kittle, 2 touchdowns. Plus 550.
Please get that real thin-haired man into the end zone twice. They need to get him. Speaking of advertisements, you got to get our boy like a hair strengthening conditioner ad. Real stringy hair.
He needs that.
Real thin hair.
What's it called? What's the horse shampoo?
Oh yeah.
Mane and tail or something.
He needs mane and tail.
Yeah. You know what, George Kittle, come on the podcast and I'll give you a stellar hair recommendation lineup.
Yeah, come on, George. Come on.
For days.
Come on over, thin-haired man. I've got a wild one here. Pats money line, Raiders money line, Saints money line, Dolphins money line, plus 10,256. Now, I know what you're thinking. Devin, you're an absolute fucking moron. There's no chances happen. You might as well light $100 fucking on fire. At least you'll be a little warmer for a couple of split seconds as opposed to completely wasting it. Well, I absolutely disagree, and I'll tell you why. Pats in a divisional game against the Bills. They hate the Bills. They would love to ruin their season. They would love to ruin their season. And if the Bills don't win this game, I got fucking news for you. Their season is probably over.
Yep.
So it's a must-win game for the Bills, which means we may get a little extra effort from the Pats. And I'm riding my boy Bailey Zappi in cold weather. Kid can sling it when it's cold. Raiders just saw him beat the Chiefs. They have a chance at the playoffs. If they win out, we're going to get their absolute best effort. Why not? Anything can happen. Raiders money line. I see it happening. I've already pled my case for the Saints and was victorious on that, which leaves us with the Dolphins. I said in the show opening, I'm kind of high on the Dolphins with the points. What's 3.5 points? If it's going to be a close game, they'll probably have a chance to win it somewhere down towards the end of the game there. I don't think the Ravens can do it in back-to-back weeks in doing it, meaning beat really good teams. So Pats, Raiders, Saints, Dolphins, money line parlay, plus 10,256. If I hit this, I am back. Everybody keep a fucking eye out for your boy. I've been known to pop up just when you thought I didn't have anything left in the tank. Okay? I'm here.
That's like
and
the
I'm not going anywhere.
I'm here. He sounds like Kermit the Frog.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah. That was hilarious. What an episode. We kept it under an hour. So it's kind of a double episode. Big thanks to Mike, the producer, for joining us. We're going to have a brand new guest next week, and I'll have a brand new pitch, as will Ashley. You all are wonderful. We are still looking for a name for our listeners. The BetHive is currently the front runner. I don't think it'll take much to surpass that. So please do let us know. And we will see you next week. Pren, any last words before we absolutely smash all these bets?
Go Baker Mayfield.
Okay. And with that, another episode of the Betsies pod has concluded. We'll see you next week.